Is it better that Vegas is sucking it up now versus later? Welcome back, you motherfuckers. You know we love you. Thanks for joining us in the new year. Still crazy to think about,
my
but
God.
it's 2024 now.
Isn't it? That went so
Yeah.
fast.
It did.
Also, I just have to say one thing. Tiff, if you're watching this, fuck the Penguins. Love you.
A special shout out to her.
Special shout out to Tiff because she was gonna check the podcast out. We pulled it up on YouTube for her so she could watch it later.
Welcome
I
to
just
welcome
wanna
to
say, fuck the
another
Penguins.
another week of me being the only one that has love for the Pittsburgh Penguins or the city of Pittsburgh in general.
Hey man, I've said nice things about Pittsburgh when the times call
Hey.
for it. Today the times don't call for it.
Yeah, I can respect the talent on their team now.
Yeah, I mean Tristan Jarry is an incredible goalie. Sidney
He is.
Crosby
No,
is going to be first ballot Hall of Famer, but fuck the Penguins.
absolutely.
Listen,
Yeah,
And
just fuck the
all-
Penguins in general.
All I'm saying is I haven't said anything negative once about the fact that the LA Kings, who are my least favorite sports team on in the world, like the fact that they're top 10 in the league. I haven't said anything negative. I've been nice.
no.
I could have told them
When they're not
some
playing well,
anything.
you joke about how they suck ass. So
No, but I
Right,
did
yeah.
tear the fucking San Jose Sharks a new one earlier this year.
Yeah.
Well, it's well deserved. Come on.
Anyway.
that's fair.
No, I love you, Tiff, but that's it. It had to be said. It had to be said again. But no, yeah, welcome back to craziness, madness. You know, three of us are always up to no good.
Mm-hmm. Most weeks.
Solemnly swear.
That's a Harry
But
Potter
yeah,
joke.
so right? Thank
Good job,
you.
Chris.
I'm glad you got it.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
You get a prize. What prize is that? You get a banana.
Who
or
I
stamp.
get
Yeah,
an
I was gonna say,
banana.
You get a
Banana.
Hershey's Kiss.
Banana. Anyway, or you can have this, or maybe.
Oh, I like
this.
that better.
Yeah.
No?
You know, dealer's choice. So I'll let you pick. I'll let you pick today.
I'm not giving you nothing. I'm not sending you nothing.
That's a
Anywho,
double negative. No, I won't be that guy.
But yeah, so again, like always, I am joined with the ever beautiful and lovely Christopher, and then Dean. I felt like Chris deserved a chance to be called beautiful.
Beautiful,
that did
yeah.
make me feel really warm inside.
Well, good. That's your Christmas
Me
gift.
Nobody's
feel
ever called me
feelings?
beautiful
You're
before.
Right. Anywho, let's get on topic for once in our lives, eh? We'll get just jumping right into it. Because we did take a couple of weeks off for the holidays, we wanted to get a standings update, and I think Chris is going to handle that one for us.
You know, I think I can. We are just about at halfway in the season. Quite interesting top five. Top five in the league currently are the New York Rangers with 51 points. Boston Bruins with 50. Somehow, out of nowhere, the Vancouver Canucks are third place with 49 points, tied with the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights, all tied with 49 points. Your division leaders are the Bruins, the Rangers, the Avalanche, and the Vancouver Canucks. Let's see what the bottom five looks like. Your bottom five.
No, please.
In 28th, the Columbus Blue Jackets with 32 points. 29th, the Ottawa Senators with 28 points. The Ducks are in 30th with 26 points. Chicago Blackhawks are 31st with 24. And the caboose rounding out the whole field in 32nd is the San Jose Sharks with 21 points. I don't know how I'm not surprised by the bottom five. I'm a little surprised with Anaheim being this low.
I mean, not really. They haven't been playing great.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was expecting there to be some sort of like something.
I was expecting them to do more this
Better?
year. Yeah, but they haven't been, so they're at where they're at.
I this standings are interesting because there are a lot of teams outside the top 16 that you wouldn't expect.
Hmm.
You've got your wild card spots right now are in the East are locked up by the New York Islanders, and shockingly, the Tampa Bay Lightning are down fighting for a wild card. Third, you've got actually a three-way tie for third place in that with the Capitals, the Devils, and the Penguins all with 40 points.
Although I think we now just edged them out after our win not 20 minutes ago, so
Here, let me update it.
that
Let's
might change things.
see if that changed.
I mean, the website might not be
Because we should have
Yeah,
2
no, you guys
to
now
their
have
0.
42 points, so you have completely jumped Tampa.
Alright.
Your battle for the Western Conference, it actually brace yourselves. The Nashville Predators are leading the wild card charge in the West, and the second place is occupied by the fucking Arizona Coyotes.
What a turnaround.
They are
Right.
19, 14, and 2 this
Yeah.
season. Dude, that kid Logan
Hey.
Cooley. Big part of that team, but good
Shout out
for
to them playing in a college arena and fucking still being better
And they're not out of the
than
woods.
Chicago.
Oh yeah, they're not out of the woods though, because Seattle is right behind them with one. They're 1 point out. So that is
Fair.
that is getting really tight right now.
Yeah. That's a race I'm excited to see because it's not my division, and it's good stories all around. So
Yeah, and we're not gonna fucking make the wild card, so
yeah, no,
I guess Seattle.
nope.
I'll enjoy life in the basement.
Yeah,
Good time. Yeah.
Good times.
good times.
You remember.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Pepperidge Farm
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
We are that old.
Yes, yes, we are.
Let us know in the comments
Oh,
if you are
ye-
also that old.
that old. Or, and I might be the only one here that gets this, but it came up in a Facebook thing. But it was, I forget what show, but it's the water go down the hole.
Oh yes,
The little duck.
yes.
Water go
Oh.
down the hole.
Oh my god.
And they're like, the hold that this duck had on all of us as children.
This
It's
this is what happens when you let 3 people in their 30s do a podcast.
Yeah,
we're old.
We are old.
we are old.
I will relish in being in my 30s for the next 2.5 years.
Yeah, I still got a whole ass decade.
Shut
Chris.
your face hole.
I'm only a year younger than D.
Yeah.
I'm 32.
Both of you.
Yeah,
can
I
shut the
just
fuck
turned
up.
21
No.
or 31. 21.
You turned
Dude,
21?
I wish I turned
21?
21. Fuck, I wish I had just turned 21.
Yeah.
Don't mind me, I'm all fucked up on Benadryl because of my sinuses.
I've had no meds today, and that's fun forever.
Yeah.
That's all right, we got this under control.
D,
Yeah,
you want to talk about the first women's game?
I do.
I'm
I would love
excited.
to.
I get to go to the first Minnesota game, home game
Yeah.
on Saturday with my grandma and my son, and we're pretty excited.
It should be a good time based off of all the reports. PWHL games, which is the Professional Women's Hockey League, are
Yep.
pretty exciting. Their first ever game was to a sold out crowd, which is really, if you are a fan of women's sports, expected. If you are in charge of advertising, somehow unexpected. Not like how media has been like, this is crazy that women's
Which-
sports are getting this kind of draw. It's like,
Which
we
is
don't do that.
nuts. It's nuts
Right.
because especially like I can't speak on other like women's sports, like the communities for a lot of other sports because I don't really follow a ton anymore. But the hockey world, this is what we've been asking for.
Yeah.
Right.
Literally.
All of us. So it's not a surprise to me at all that
Yep.
they sold out. And it wouldn't surprise me if Minnesota has a sellout. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me because women's hockey it is almost dead on as good, if not better sometimes than the men's game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's less physicality, but I think it brings a more pureness to the sport in some ways. Like it's such a different take on it. It's kind of like women's lacrosse versus men's
Well,
lacrosse.
And we'll talk about some of the differences here in a second, but I will just say that New York did win. It was New York against
Yep.
Toronto in the
Toronto.
inaugural
Yep.
game, and New York won for nothing
Yeah.
Yeah.
as the away team, that's a huge, huge, exciting game. Um, One of the interesting things is they are allowing hits in women's hockey, which was something that going into it we weren't sure what they were going to do.
Fuck
And if
yeah.
you've seen videos of some of the hits, they're
They hit
Yeah.
hard.
hitting.
They're pretty
You,
nasty.
I mean, you would think that like potentially there would have been a whistle blown, but no, no, no,
Dude,
no,
they're
no.
out there playing for
That is not what
keeps.
happened. They
Yeah.
really are, and it's been incredible. And one of the other things that rule wise, I think I am so excited for to see happen in women's hockey is they instituted what someone on Twitter referred to as the jailbreak rule, wherein if you are in the box for a penalty and your team scores a shorthanded goal, you get released,
Which I
which we
like.
don't have in the
Oh,
men's game.
It should
And I
be.
no.
think that that's actually super, super cool,
Yeah.
and a perk of being that fucking good. I mean, we don't see
Yeah.
it happen like every game, so it would be a really interesting layer to add in. And so I'm so excited to see that happen in a women's game
Yeah.
and to see, like we've seen on Twitter. And again, I'm going to keep calling it Twitter because fuck X. But
It'll
on
never
Twitter,
be
we've seen,
X to me.
Yeah.
no,
It'll never be
absolutely not.
called X.
But on Twitter, we've seen a great response to that rule change. Everyone
Yeah.
that I've seen
Yeah.
has been in favor of it, and maybe I'm just living in a bubble, but I haven't seen one person that's like, actually, no, I don't think that that's cool or fair in any way." You know what I mean? Everyone seems pretty on board with it because I think it is an
Right.
innovative rule that is gonna bring so much to
Right.
the sport
Yeah.
and is gonna draw
Mhm.
eyes in, which is ultimately what we need.
Well, and there's no
Right.
reason that the men's game shouldn't have that as well.
Agreed.
I feel like that's something the three of us have talked about on here before. Like
Right.
that should be there. Um
Yeah.
no,
It's gonna be
yeah.
interesting to see if they use this as a pilot for the men's league, seeing how it
Yeah.
is done and how it's received, whether or not we'll hear about them bringing that up in the next commissioners meeting, for the
Right.
NHL.
Who
But yeah,
Yeah.
very exciting. Apparently, it was a
Yes.
really good game. They said the player of the match was Corinne Schroeder. She made 30 saves to
Yeah.
keep Toronto from getting a goal, which is just incredible. They had their 3 stars of the game, which this print is so tiny. So again, Corinne Schroeder is number one. Is the first star. Alex Carpenter is the second star, and Ella Shelton is the third star for this game for the PWHL, which is an unfortunate mouthful.
it is an unfortunate mouth hole, isn't
It is
it?
an unfortunate
We hate
mouthhole.
that.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, Alex Carpenter had 1 goal and 1 assist, and Ella Shelton had 1 goal and 0 assists, which I think
Right.
they are doing a little bit of a different point structure as well. They have a 3-2-1 point structure
okay.
going. So that should be interesting to see as well. And I can't wait to follow the women's league for the rest of the season. All games can be watched on the official YouTube for the PWHL. In Canada, games can be watched on CBC, TSN, RDS, and Sportsnet. In the US, games can be watched on MSG networks or on NSEN, depending on the region. So if you're interested, make sure you watch that. I think everyone should watch that because that's the only way we're going to see women's
Boo,
sports really take off.
Nesson.
I mean, yeah, that sucks, but you can actually watch the games on their YouTube. So just
Yeah.
go to the YouTube and like if we're all watching the games, we're going to see more advertising dollars go towards
Hell yeah.
women's leagues. And that's what we need because
Yeah.
they need to be filling out arenas just like the Ducks and the Wild and the Capitals.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's my
I
soapbox.
legit
I'll get
just
off now.
subscribed. I didn't know that I had literally asked before we started streaming, I asked Danger, I was like, do you know if they have any TV partners or anything? So
Yeah.
Yep.
And I
100
wasn't aware.
150% I will be tuning in to as many games as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I'm out here to
Absolutely.
support the ladies, man. They play some great
100%.
fucking hockey.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do.
Absolutely.
Also, it's fitting that
Uh,
the Boston team has Hillary Knight, who's gonna just murder people with the body because she's
Yeah.
physical
right.
as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I'm so glad they're allowing hitting the way that they are in the women's league because women can hit and women
yeah,
can
Yeah.
take a hit.
yeah.
You're right.
They're padded for a
Excuse me,
reason.
sir.
So
Mm.
Ain't that the truth? Anyway, Chris, you had a rant you wanted to share with
Well,
us?
it's it. I wouldn't say it's a rant, but I do have an
You
update.
worded it as a rant.
I didn't put rant.
Oh.
I put rant,
Oh.
Yeah.
but that's because
Oh,
you
I thought
worded
you
it as, and fuck the refs specifically.
That is
So,
not
Alright,
at
that to
all
that's
how I
me
fair.
said
That
it.
sounds like a rant. That
I'm
sounds
pretty
like a
sure you
rant.
said, "And then can we talk about how the refs suck?" Which in my mind is "fuck the refs" specifically,
See, now
became
I
a
have to
rant.
go back and look. Oh, and how awful the officiating has been in the World Junior Classic or the World Junior
So
Championships.
fuck the
A
refs
rant,
in
thank
Yeah.
you, I
particular.
rest
All
my
Yeah.
right.
case.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
those that caught up on our last show, the World Junior Championships is taking place in Sweden right now. We
Mhm.
are in the semifinal rounds now that the stage has been set. We've had a massive upset.
A crazy
Your
upset.
quarterfinal games, two of them went to overtime. One of them
Mhm.
was a 5-goal deficit, and the other, the game winner was scored 11 seconds left in the game.
Yeah.
Sweden took the win over Switzerland 3-2 in overtime. The Czechs, dude, the Czech Republic knocked off the number 1 team in the world, beating Canada and eliminating them 3-2.
Mhm.
Slovakia lost to Finland in overtime, and the United States decided that playing a high school team was going to be more fun in the way that they beat the hell out of Latvia 7
Yeah.
to 2.
Yeah.
Um this has major implications right now. Like
Yeah.
Canada has won 20 World Junior Championships, including the last 2.
Mhm.
For the hockey juggernaut to be upset, and honestly, I don't know if I'm that shocked because the Czech Republic has an amazing youth group that's coming straight up into the NHL soon, hopefully soon. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not totally shocked that they won, but I'm shocked that it happened the way it did. Um,
Fair enough.
so it's going to be exciting to see how that goes down. Let me grab the schedule here. All right, so starting on Thursday, we have,
Same.
I believe it's Norway versus Germany. I think that's just a, finalized wrap-up game. Then as well as Sweden versus the Czech Republic and the USA versus Finland. All of those games can be watched on the NHL network,
Perfect.
and I believe TSN in Canada. TSN and RDS, I believe. I could be wrong. I just know it's on the NHL network, and I don't get to watch any of it. I have to pay attention through highlights and like Game Center stuff.
That's a bummer.
I do want to talk about how hockey fans are freaking out with the inconsistencies and missed calls by the refs in a lot of the games. Like, there's been a lot of really bad calls.
What
Uh,
about the refs like coming out? Well, I don't remember if it was the refs or whatever, but whatever happened to where they admitted fixing a game recently.
I don't know if I haven't heard that.
I did hear something about
Yeah.
that.
Did you?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
was it a Boston game?
I don't remember.
I feel like it was East Coast team. I don't remember the details
Yeah.
of it. But yeah, like you said that and I just remembered
That's
hearing it. I think the
crazy.
refs came out and said that they fixed it with the bad calls because it was like one of those where
Yeah.
they made a
Some
significant
really
number
bad
of
ones.
bad calls.
I mean, that would
So I'm
actually
not
be
talking to
surprising,
you.
but like also wouldn't be surprising at the same time.
Yeah, it was, I'll pull it up now, but, Eric Johnson of the Buffalo Sabres, um, said that he was outraged after being tossed from the game after fighting, Rangers Wookiee Willie Cull Cully?
Wookie?
I don't know.
He's a Wookie?
Yeah, Wookie
Like,
Willie.
oh.
Rangers rookie Willie. Johnson was given an additional 22 penalty, minutes for something he did earlier in the game. Um, he
22?
exposed the refs for fixing the game, 22
Holy
penalty
shit.
yeah. I don't know if there's a gray area with the instigator, what have you, but that's not an instigator. That's two willing combatants that both accept a fight after what I thought was a hit on my partner, a young player in a vulnerable spot, and he needed to answer the bell for that. I thought that was ridiculous. I'd like to say more, but even if I get fined, I really don't care. I thought it was BS. Um, according to Johnson, this the ref told the Sabres bench that he was given the instigator penalty because they were complaining too much during the first period. So the refs admitted
So then they
to the other team
retroactively
that
gave
because
him
they
an E.
complained so much earlier in the game, that they gave him an instigator penalty to shut them up. The refs
I
were
don't
Jake
like
Wow.
that.
Frank and Carter Sandlack. And this, the interesting thing about these two is that the game is that the home team is typically gets preferential treatment from these two.
Right.
Among the referees, Sandlack is first for home team winning percentage, and Brink is fifth for home team winning percentage.
So this leads me
Interesting.
to question the reffing situation just in hockey in general, because
Yeah,
Mhm.
especially with the World Juniors, this is an insanely prestigious international tournament
right.
hosted by the IIHF, which if you guys are not familiar with, that is the worldwide federation that handles everything hockey. It's like
Right.
FIFA but for hockey. Um and you'd think that they would have good refs. Like I've seen insane amounts of videos on Instagram and through YouTube of just
Yeah,
fans just blowing up the refs verbally, and the clear bad calls. Like
Right.
we need to be better, especially when it comes to our junior players. These are
yeah,
young athletes that are trying to work their way into the NHL or what have you. And like you got to be consistent with these guys so they can help build a more constructive discipline when they play in the
hmm,
pros.
right.
Um, Not only that, this is a world stage of hockey. This is a
Yeah.
tournament that millions of people tune into every year. Got to be
I mean,
better.
there's been issues with refs for a long time now, and I mean, we've complained about refs every single year. I think every fan complains about refs. Sometimes just it's bullshit, and we complain because we want to blame somebody.
Right.
And sometimes it's
Mhm.
valid. And I think that we're seeing a lot of valid criticism, especially, I mean, if that situation is correct, where the referees told the bench that, hey, he got the instigator because he was complaining too much earlier in the game, and fuck that guy.
Right.
Then, like,
Right.
yeah, you need a little bit of a talking to. I mean, there's
Right.
a bunch of things. Like recently, the Capitals had a goal called back because Toronto ordered review because it was just at like the 1 minute mark. So everything in the last minute gets automatically reviewed.
Right.
And they took over 7 minutes to review the tape and then overturned it, even though it took them 15 plus angles
Yeah.
to determine that it was goalie interference, which
Hmm.
goes against the spirit of the rule, which is that it should be immediately recognizable as an infraction.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think we're having a lot of difficulties right now with referees that are putting their own interpretation on the rules or using the rules to bend to their will, and that might be what we're seeing here in the World Junior
Which and
Championships as well.
I hope not. And this is on, like, all of this is happening at the same time to when Gary Bettman confirmed that the NHL will start doing international in-season tournaments,
Yeah,
which the idea is amazing. I think it's awesome that they're going to have an in-season tournament, but with like players representing their own countries and being able
hmm,
to wear that logo just in case the off chance that this coming Winter Olympics they can't.
hmm.
Um, but I hope that this is a sign that the NHL is going to use their own refs and like their top refs to make sure that this is as smooth as possible. Um,
Well, I think that this is no matter what, even if they are using their top officials, this needs to be a sign that they need to do a culling of their officials
yeah, I think
and
so
make
because
like
yeah,
there. We need to see fines for officials who very clearly impact a game based on bad calls,
right,
because right now there is no to the outside observer, there is no punishment for officials who do things like what these refs have been doing.
yeah,
Right? It's just
Right.
like, "Oh, yeah, that was a bad call, like, that sucks," and then we move on, and it's a
yeah.
new news cycle.
And I like how
Right.
you said that to the public we don't
Mhm.
see anything, because again, we don't see anything. That's very, very
Yeah,
accurate, because we don't know, like, that whole situation that could have been handled behind closed doors. A bad call that costs a team an entire game, like victory, that stuff could go. We don't know. The
right.
there is no report on
And there should
referees
be.
getting I agree. We get just as many injury reports and fines and suspension reports for players on every media that covers it, but like
Mhm.
the NHL doesn't put out any of that stuff if that even happens at all. And I would hope
Right.
so, because that means that the NHL is starting to hold everyone accountable for their problems instead of just players, because
Right.
that's unfair. The refs are just as much a part of the game as the players are. They
And I don't believe it's happening because we're not hearing about it.
yeah,
If we were hearing about it, that's when people start believing, and then that's when you get your fan base to calm down a little bit.
yeah,
Because right now there is a lot of aggression towards officials
yeah,
because of bad calls. And if you want officials to be more respected, then the way you do that is by having them be accountable and having transparency in that. And if there's a situation like we talk about our players where if they are fined and suspended too many times, they're considered a repeat offender
yeah.
and they have higher penalties. We need to see the same kind of accountability on the ref side of things. If they are repeatedly making egregious calls, then they need to do less games and they need to be not doing matchups that are
Important?
considered rivalry
Yeah,
or important games.
I
You know what I mean?
agree.
They should not be refing the Winter Classic. They should not be refing all-star games. They should only be refing when bottom 5 teams play each other, which means, yeah, they ref less games and they make less money, and that's how you curb bad behavior.
Well, that's what we actually I never really praised them because they don't always do a lot right, but we have actually in recent like months started to see that with the NFL.
Yeah.
There's like 3
Right.
referees that they just banned from doing any sort of postseason game because of like really bad calls and stuff. Um
Mhm.
the
Right.
I it's been a very long time since I've seen the entire hockey community united on one front like this.
Right. It's
Be-
very rare.
It's very rare. We're all always on two opposite sides of everything, and this is a big deal because this is literally manipulating the outcome of a game.
Yeah.
And that's
And
I'm not on board for that in any way.
not just that, but we're also looking at when refs are turning blind eyes to egregious penalties that result in harm as
Yeah.
well. Like, we see a lot of discussion in all of our communities about how it's perceived that certain players in the NHL get a free pass to be shitty
Do
to
whatever
other
they want.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is detrimental to the sport,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
I agree. Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, nevertheless, we're coming up on 2 really big games for the World Juniors, and I'm excited to see if the US can snag their sixth championship, or can Finland be the next team to upset everyone? Can the Czech Republic go on
That
and
would be cool.
shock the fucking world to win it all?
Yeah.
Not to mention Sweden. I don't. If you've watched the NHL in any facet over the last 20 years, you can name like 12 fucking Swedish players without thinking about it, because
Mm.
Sweden is that much of a powerhouse now. I think this is and I think I said this last year, is we're at a point with youth hockey, especially like the junior level, where Canada, obviously, as we just saw, Canada's not the number one, like they're not the only show in town anymore. They
Yeah.
are
Right.
human, and they've
Right.
shown that they can be beat. I'm pretty sure they lost in the round robin phase too. So I don't know. I'm really hyped to see where this goes, because this is pretty big.
Yeah. Agreed.
Other things we just wanted to mention. Chris, did you want to talk about Samsonov?
Oh yes. For those that didn't hear in the news, the Toronto
Crazy.
Maple Leafs have placed Ilya
Yeah.
Samsonov on waivers. He has said he does not intend to play in the AHL. Samsonov is coming off of the worst stretch of his career, giving up a total of 21 goals in 7 games. Now, yes,
Yeah.
that's an average of 3 goals a game. That's not good, regardless. But you
Right.
think of his last 4 starts: December 11th against the Islanders, giving up 4; December 14th against the Blue Jackets, giving up 6; December 21st against the Buffalo Sabres, giving up 5; December 29th against the Blue Jackets, again 6 goals against. Um, he is having a very hard time right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
but at the same time, he's 26.
right.
Like, that could be something going on in his personal life, and I don't know that putting him on waivers is the right decision for Toronto to make
Yeah.
That
right
yeah,
now,
I don't
you
know.
know?
He's been struggling for a long time. He was struggling even in the Caps organization. There is
Fair.
a crucial element missing to his play. I mean, one of the reasons why he got put on waivers is in his game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, which they lost in overtime. He allowed 6 goals on 21 shots.
yeah, and that's not
So, like
good.
things like that. That's really
Right,
this hockey is a numbers game in so many aspects, and those just aren't good numbers. And he has shown
right,
for a little bit now that he needs additional work, whether that's mentally or with a goalie
right,
coach, he
so,
needs something. And so I don't know if
Right.
putting him on waivers is necessarily the best move because I don't know
has he
if
really
that
only
is.
played 7 games this season, though?
Samsonov? No, he's played 15
Yeah.
games this
Um,
year.
Oh, games played,
Yeah, he's
okay,
played
okay,
15 this
sorry,
year.
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. He
But
yeah,
then so he's
because
been
he's 5, 2,
pulled
and
from a
6.
bunch of
yeah.
game. Oh, and 6. I
Yeah.
forgot about the OT. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
No, you're
sorry.
fine. It's fine.
no, all
Yeah.
good.
No, I was sitting there going, "Wait, this math ain't mathin' in my brain right now, because I forgot about a whole ass column.
But it's
Sorry."
Yeah,
like, so I very much so agree with you guys that this might not be the right move for the franchise. Yes, I understand
yeah,
from a front office
Right.
perspective, for a team that has struggled with goaltending the past few years, we're not even talking about Matt Murray right now, who
yeah.
also hasn't played at all this year. Um,
Yeah. And he won't most likely
I
this
yeah, I
season.
don't believe he was
Yeah.
he was set to play at all this year. But like, if I'm Toronto, I've made the playoffs every year, and I haven't got I've literally only gotten past the first round once in the last like 10 years. So I'm making that change as the GM, and it's nothing personal.
Well,
I want to play devil's advocate here, mental health wise with Ilya
Yeah.
Samsonov. It's like this might even be the best thing for him because he talks
Right,
about
but
having a
clearly if he has no intention of playing in the AHL and saying it that outright instead of saying like, "Hey, yeah, I get that they're pulling me. I'll go in the AHL, I'll spend some time, I'll work on my game,
mhm.
and I'll come back better." This to me, I don't think if you're going to take a mental health look at it, I don't think that this is the right move for mental health.
so
Yeah,
yeah. This is where
In
Samsonov
my
said
opinion.
himself that this is going to serve as a mental and physical reset for him.
yes.
Right.
And his general manager did say that the mental drives the bus a little bit with him. I'll say from our time as a Caps, he got into some trouble during COVID time because he was unwilling to follow team protocol. So he got benched by the coach for a little bit because of poor
Right.
behavior. And then there were reports of him having not having the right mentality. And we
Okay.
just really, really struggled with him. So that's why I said I don't know
Sure.
if this is the right move for him mental health wise.
right.
If this is
Right.
the reset he
No, that's
needs.
fair.
I'm hopeful that maybe it is though. Like maybe it is
Yeah. Maybe it's
at the very least a wake up call.
right. Okay.
Right. And
That's thank you for explaining that because I was looking at it
yeah.
going, is this the best thing to do to him mental health
Hmm.
wise versus
Right.
him looking at it as a hey, you need to change something
Yeah.
thing,
And
which
and
is
the
fair.
Yeah.
thing about waivers is that no one has claimed him, so he's still technically with the Maple Leafs franchise, and I
Hmm.
know that they've talked about that they are using the goaltenders coach from the Toronto Marlies to work with him and
Right.
see if
Connor
that's an
Toivonen.
impact. Maybe this is less a slap in the face and more of, hey, we believe in you, but we're gonna send you down
Maybe.
to let you work on whatever you need to work
Yeah.
on to make sure you're 100% here because it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like he's
It
100%
just
into this
worries
year.
me that that was his reaction to it was I have no intention of playing in the AHL. To
Yeah.
me says that he's
Yeah.
really bucking and fighting back at this.
Yeah.
And if he has a history of being like that. I honestly he's not somebody
Yeah.
like, obviously we've heard the name. But he's not somebody that I follow super closely. I think he was on my fantasy team a couple years ago, but you know,
Yeah.
that's
Sammy has
neither
a
here nor
capability to be an incredible goaltender.
Yeah.
I think he's young. I think he needs a firm hand and guidance,
I
though.
agree.
yeah.
I think he has the skill, but I do think it's very clear that he let shit get in his head far too easily, and
Yeah.
that is not an indictment on him.
Yeah.
A lot of goalies are that way.
It happens. Yeah, it
It
happens.
happens because being a goalie is so much more of a mental game than people think it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you have to use your brain in a way that other players aren't. You have to literally see around fucking corners. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, so I just think that think he needs to talk to somebody like Anthony Mantha who got a sports therapist,
Yeah,
because it helped his game. I think Samsonov would benefit from that, and I hope that he takes this time to not just work on the technical side of his game, which can be incredible at times when his head is right, but also to work on ways to making sure that his head is right all of the time.
Right.
I agree.
Very fair. Um, we're kind of moving on topics. I want to talk about another goalie a little bit, bring a little humor back into the
Yeah.
show. We all know my current love affair with Marc-Andre Fleury. But before this, we were watching a clip, Chris and I, and it was Duhaime was getting interviewed by our backstage correspondent, Kevin Gorg.
Mhm.
And Duhaime made a comment about, yeah, he played really well for 50. And Fleury didn't quite like that. And so Fleury apparently that game stole Duhaime's shirt. So leaving the game in his nice suit, Duhaime had no shirt on underneath.
Yeah.
The following game, Fleury nailed Duhaime's shoes to the floor. So he had
Jesus.
no shoes to walk in, so he had to wear boots with the fur. There were these gaudy white, like knee, almost knee high, almost just past calf high
That's hot.
furry boots. And then Duhaime, in retaliation, found out who Fleury's Secret Santa was and made sure he got a cane for Christmas.
Love it.
Which is hilarious.
That Fleury took to the practice and used that instead of his stick.
I
out on
bet
the
you
ice,
we've
which was
probably blocked
phenomenal.
most of them too.
He really, from the clips that I saw with it, I think he only let one in, maybe.
Gotta love Fleury, bro.
Yeah.
We love Fleury, and he did 2 nights ago play his 1000th game.
Yeah.
So second most in the NHL, I think. For goalies anyway. And he's 2 away from beating Patrick Roy for all-time wins.
Yeah.
All-time wins. So yeah, he's on the road. Hopefully, we're gonna see a lot more of Fleury playing coming up, and we'll talk about it in the injury report. But our starting goalie, Philip Gustafsson, is hurt right now. So we'll see Fleury a lot more, and we might even get to see Zane McIntyre from Iowa playing his first NHL game, which would be phenomenal.
That'd be
too,
fun.
Oh, wow.
He's doing great things in Iowa.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about a couple of good things in the goalie world.
Gotta love Fleury.
Yeah.
Gotta love Fleury. The legend.
Right. And Dee, I know you had a couple of things because Ovi
Yeah.
broke a couple more records tonight, right?
He did. In typical Ovechkin fashion. He had his 830th career goal, which puts him like 64 goals behind the great one.
Yeah.
Very fucking doable. This was actually his 302nd power play goal, which just puts him further. He was already in first for power play goals of all time.
Okay.
This furthers that. It also gave him his 1,507th point, which puts him past Ray Bourque for 7th most points with one franchise in NHL history. And also at the same time, it gave him his 172nd goalie who scored against, which puts him behind only. I know Jaromir Jagr is in first with 178, and I forget who's in second with 177.
Okay.
Shout out to whoever
But
that
yeah,
person
very
is.
doable.
My bad. And it also makes he is now the second player in NHL history to score 40 career goals against 10 different franchises. The
That's
only other
nuts.
player that has done that is Phil Esposito.
Well, that's a
So
pretty
again,
good name
he's
to be
just further
associated with.
padding those insane stats. But yes, this is
Yeah.
his now 40 goals against 10 different franchises, which
That's
is
nuts.
fucking insane.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I know he is he has the most goals of any Russian player, and it's not even close.
No.
Yeah.
I know Evgeny Malkin just pulled into second all time on that list, and it's Ovi has like 300 more goals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Also, before we move
Yeah.
on, I do want to give a shout out to Chris Letang for becoming the first the first defenseman in NHL history to have 5 points in one
In a single
period.
game.
In one
Oh, in
Oh,
one
nice.
period,
period.
one period.
Yeah.
The Penguins ended up
There was
winning
something
against
else.
the Islanders 7 to
Yeah.
nothing. They scored
Wow.
6 in one period.
That's insane.
But
It was
yeah,
insane. Yeah, it was a great game.
it was nuts. I remember my dad
Yeah.
looking at me going, "Are you seeing the score right now?" I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" They whipped their
Yeah.
ass. It was nuts. Like
Yeah.
4 teams got blown out that day.
Yeah. Do you want me to jump into our stars
Yeah.
real
Start. Go
quick?
ahead.
Okay. So the 3 stars for the month of December were, in 3rd, Connor Hellebuck, goalie for the Winnipeg Jets. He was 7-0-2 with 1.88 goals against average and a .934 save percentage and 9 starts, to, make the Jets get their NHL best of 10, 1-2 in December. Second star was Austin Matthews, center for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He led the NHL with 15 goals in 12 games, 4 more than any other player during that time frame. So the Leafs went on to have a 5-4-4 record in the month of December.
That's nuts.
Only 3 players in franchise history have scored as many goals in a single calendar month: Ricky Vave, sorry Ricky, Babe Dye, and Frank Mahovlich.
Mumblich. That
Mahovlich.
sounds right.
Yeah, something like that.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. First star for the month was Nathan McKinnon, again, a center for the Colorado Avalanche.
Mac
He paced the NHL
Daddy.
with 18
Sorry.
assists and 29 points in 15 games to help the Avalanche to an 8-5-2 record for the month of December.
That's
His
nuts.
29 points set a franchise record for a single calendar month, besting Peter Stastny's 28 in February of 1981. Was the next closest.
Damn.
So that brings us into the new year with the 3 stars of this week, which kind of doesn't really bring us into the new year because it's the last week of December. Anyway, the 3 stars. We're going to start with our third star, who is Luke Hughes, a defensive man for the New Jersey Devils. He scored in
Lucius.
all 3 of his games, totaling 3 goals, 2 assists for a total of 5 points to help the Devils complete a 2-1-0 week. He tallied a highlight reel game tying goal with a minute 25 in regulation, as they then went on for a 4-3 overtime victory against the Columbus Blue Jackets. He then had a goal and an assist, and 2 assists, sorry, for his first career 3-point performance in a 6-2 win over the Ottawa Senators. And he scored again in a 5-2 loss to the Boston Bruins to become the second rookie defenseman in franchise history with a 3-game goal streak, joining Barry Beck.
That's nuts.
Um, the 20-year-old Hughes, who joins his brother Quinn and Jack as Star of the Week recipients this season. So now all 3 Hughes brothers have been Star of the Week, which is pretty cool.
That's yeah.
That
Um,
is pretty cool.
yeah, he
Now, if
leads rookie
only the Stahl
defensemen.
brothers could get there. Sorry.
He leads rookie
I
defensemen
don't
and
think we'll
places
ever.
fourth amongst all rookies with 7 goals and 14 assists in 35 total appearances this season. Second star is a player that I love and love to hate when we play against him. Artemi Panarin, left winger for the New York Rangers.
Breadman.
Panarin has paced the NHL with 5 goals in 3 games, as the Rangers earned a pair of victories to move into first place in overall league standings. He had what? That doesn't make sense.
What is word? What is
He had
English?
what?
He registered 11, 2 including his first 41 career game, winning goal and second of the season. I don't know what the 11 is in reference to. So,
Me neither.
yep.
But good job registering those
Good
11.
job. Yeah, great with the 11.
Much good. Way
Many
wow.
wow.
Many wow. He is
Like,
32. He has goals in 4 straight games, dating back to December 23rd. He has played in 35 total games this season, ranks among the leaders in power play points, tied for second with 23. Points overall, tied for third with 50. Power play assists, tied for third with 15. Goals, tied for fourth with 23. And power play goals, tied for sixth with 8th. Oh, and shots on goal, he has seventh outright with 145 so far this season. And lastly
Jesus.
is not this Aho, but that Aho, Sebastian Aho, center for the Carolina Hurricanes,
The
taking our
other
first star.
ahaho.
That was
Yeah.
perfect. That was a great way to say it.
He had 9 assists and 11 points overall, as well as 5 helpers and 6 points on the power play alone in 3 games to lift the Hurricanes into second place in the Metro Division. Um, they had a perfect week, which congratulations, go fuck yourselves. He became the first player in franchise history to record 4 points on consecutive days, and the first player to accomplish the feat league-wide since Jeremy Roenick from 1999. He also helped. That's a really long bracketed segment there. I'm not going to read all of that. It marked the 8th and 9th 4-point performances in Aho's career, with the former making him the 4th player in the Hurricanes/Whalers history to reach the 500-point milestone, and the latter standing as his first career 4-assist outing. Aho added 1 goal and 2 assists, including the decisive goal in a 3-2 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs, to become the 4th player in franchise history to collect at least 3 points in 3 straight games, following Eric Stahl, Andrew Castles, and Mike Rogers. The 26-year-old Aho, who ranks 15th in the NHL in scoring this season, tops Carolina in goals with 15, assists with 27, points with 42, power play assists with 13, and power play points with 17 through 34 total games this season. Shout out to NHL for always having really comprehensive Stars of the Week analysis.
Oh yeah.
Though you need to work on your editing because 11 what?
Just
For
11.
Mr. Panarin. Just
11.
11.
Well,
It's
so
11.
I love
Yeah.
I love to see the numbers for Aho because I've always said he's an asset when it comes to special teams, especially on a power play. And obviously his numbers are clearly reflecting that.
Yeah.
But shout out to the Hurricanes. You know what? As a
Mhm.
Connecticut boy, shout out to the fucking Whalers.
Hey, they got a mention
Very fair.
They did.
this
They got a
week, so
mention.
there you
That's
go.
all I can
Yeah.
ask for.
All you can ask for.
Yeah.
This D on my
There you
chest
go.
can share a lot of room with the W that can go on my chest. I have a Whalers t-shirt
You
somewhere.
just
I
gotta
have
like
to wear
turn
it.
to the side a little bit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just
Yeah.
whoop.
I'll have to dig the
Oh, yeah,
Whalers
just-
the Whalers t-shirt out for
The
next
winner
week.
t-shirt.
The winner t-shirt?
The
With the whoop.
Witcher.
Oh, wookie winner t-shirt.
It's somewhere in my house. I don't know where it is, but I have it. The first what are we fucking?
Curdy.
Yeah. We just Swedish chef out here. Flishty.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we talked about people doing good things, let's talk about people doing bad things.
The bad boys, bad boys.
I'm locked up, won't let me out.
We have no suspensions.
Woo!
Yay! We do, however, have one major fine. Biggest fine possible for this particular offense.
Mhm.
We did talk about it before the show. It involves a wild player. Shocker, I know. And I will say, so Ryan Hartman got fined $4,427.08 for high sticking Cole Pefferetti. And initially, the way I had heard it was one way, was that it was, in retaliation for a hit on Kirill Kaprizov that injured him. We'll take him out for at least 2 weeks. Well, 1 to 2 weeks. Now, I will admit, but when I heard that, I thought it was Pefferetti that did the hit on Kirill. So I was all like, hell yeah, you get him, Hartsey. And then thanks, Grandma. I already did them.
Hi, Grandma.
Oh, that's the cat food. Yeah. But as Grandma just said, that's not what happened.
No.
Brendan Dillon, if I remember correctly, is actually who cross-checked Kirill Kaprizov.
Multiple
Pefferetti
times
had
in the
nothing
back.
to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, again, in the injury report, talk about that a little bit more, but he did end up leaving the game early. Pefferetti, and apparently, what Hartsey didn't know is Pefferetti was mic'd up that game.
Yeah. He shot himself in the foot.
And
yeah,
caught him admitting, saying, hey, no disrespect, nothing against you personally, which Pefferetti was like, kind of okay with, right? But I gotta do this. Because of the hit on Kirill.
Right.
And no, he said on Kirill.
No, it's not.
Yes, he did. He said, like Pefferetti even said,
Okay.
I gotta do this in retaliation for taking Kirill out.
Okay.
Your cat wants to eat.
I gotta give
Pefferetti.
credit. Much as I dislike Winnipeg, her whatever his name is,
Pefferetti.
he did not say anything to anybody until after the game was over. So
Right.
I give him
Yeah.
credits for that.
Yeah,
I
and
give
he said he didn't feel disrespected. He's like, I thought it was kind of weird to admit it.
Yeah.
but yeah, so Brendan Dillon had the multiple hits on Kirill Kaprizov. It sounds like there's maybe alternative stories out there too than what we watched in the clips from the interviews and whatnot. But yeah, so well, none of us here on Pucked Up Podcast advocate for violence ever.
Not for that kind of violence.
Not in that way.
No.
Yeah.
Not in that kind of way, right? I'm all for getting a good hit on a guy that knocked out one of your guys.
Yeah.
A good legal check. Always preferred.
Well, right.
Or a good fight. I'm all
Preferred.
for
I'm here
Yeah,
for
a
a good
good
fight.
fight,
I'm
a
here
good
for a
fight.
good fight.
A good middle finger like a couple of years ago with
Yeah.
Hartman.
Yeah.
I'm here for that. High sticking him in the chin. I am surprised that he did not get a penalty at the game because he did draw blood. It did look like one or
Stitches.
two stitches
Yeah.
in his lip. It wasn't a huge gash, like I'll give him that.
Yeah.
So there wasn't anything during the game that caused it, which probably is a big thanks to Preferetti not mentioning it until after the game.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I am fine with him being fined for it. I don't think he's fighting the fine. But
there's no way to fight it.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario, I think. I do wish that he would have seeked out the retaliation against Dylan himself, and
Yeah.
I don't know why that wasn't the case.
Oh,
To be fair, this did happen. We played them 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
So this
Right.
happened back to back.
so this whole issue circles back to when Jacob Trouba literally baseball swung his stick at somebody. I'm not saying that they're
That's not
they're
what
not
Hartman
yeah,
did.
it's not what he
Yeah.
did, but it also veins to the fact where I say, and I'm sure you guys as well as everyone else, there is no excuse to ever intentionally raise your stick to somebody's face or head.
No.
There is no excuse. There is no way that is acceptable. If it's an accident, you get tangled up, you accidentally hit the guy, you high stick him. All right, that's fine. But like when it's done intentionally, and this is coming
or
from
like
someone
when you're
who
going for a shot and you wind up and you don't realize that there's a
Yeah.
player back there, you hit him, like shit, like
Right.
that happens.
Well,
And-
even with this high stick, and I think the reason it wasn't called is it was right at a face-off, and how often do we see sticks come back up off the
Yeah.
ice real fast?
Yeah.
It could have been a very common thing had he not admitted to him, hey, yo.
Yeah, and I mean,
I did it on
you up.
purpose.
it does look a little shady. Like you could tell it's deliberate if you watch. It's like as someone
Oh,
who's
yeah,
as
he-
someone
he
who
brings it up,
plays
brings it down, brings it
as
back
someone who
up.
played
Yeah.
center, my stick would have never left the ice in that facet for any reason other than to do what Hartman did. And Hartman is not by any means a guy who's out here doing shit like this. Like Hartman's got he's got a very clean record of not being a guy that's gonna go out there and try to hurt somebody. But the best
he'll intentionally
he's
do
a
shit now
he's
and
a
then, but it's
physical
never
guy,
to
but he's not a
intentionally
dirty
hurt you.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously this is out of character for him. I respect the idea of wanting to stand up for a teammate, but like that is
Take it out on
absolutely
the guy
not
that
the
did it.
and that
Take
is
it out
not the way
on
to
the
do
guy
it.
that did it, and
Yeah.
never do it with an intentional, like stick to the face.
Yeah.
Do it with your ungloved hand.
Yeah. That being said,
headbutt him for all I fucking care.
I'm not
Like,
surprised
at
he
that
didn't get
point,
suspended because
I'd
Trouba
be
didn't.
more
So
upset with a headbutt than I would be like a head-to-head contact than
Yeah.
I would be with the high stick to the chin.
yeah, because that's
be
also an
honest, for me.
intentional attack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think when you're
Because
fighting,
this was to the chin,
like-
it wasn't to like anything
Yeah.
Right.
cheekbone or above. You know what I mean? And for me, that's where you get into a lot of head injury territory, where
yeah.
a chin, a lip might knock a tooth out. It's not
Break
gonna
a
give
jaw,
you a
like
concussion.
yeah.
Yeah. It's enough away from temple area. I hate the intentional boarding
Yeah.
retaliation things. I think
100%.
that's more dangerous than
That's how
this
you
particular
fucking-
high
let's-
stick.
Let's say
That's
it
how
how
you-
it
yeah.
is.
That's how
That's
you
how
kill
you
people.
fucking kill people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you kill people.
It hasn't
It may
happened,
take
but it
30
could.
years for it to happen.
Yeah.
But
It can
that's
absolutely
how people
happen.
die.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, an intentional high stick you never want to see, but there are worse things he could have done. Not to say that makes it any better, though.
Right.
Right. If he had
But
done a
yeah, so
baseball swing, we would have seen a suspension
oh
because
yeah,
it
I
was
don't think we
absolutely.
would have because Jacob Trouba did not get suspended.
I
He
think that though there was such backlash about Truba not getting suspended that maybe we
Yeah, I
would see
think
it
they would
now.
have made an
yeah,
example out of
Yeah.
Hartman for that one.
And
I would hope.
I would like to mention that as much as he admitted it on tape and there is a recording of it that we will never probably hear, but that someone has a
No.
copy of, it has been confirmed that were that to go to any sort of like larger, into a suspension or anything like that, the recording actually cannot be used against him per the
Yeah.
agreement with the Players
Yeah,
Association. So
right.
even though he did admit it publicly, um, that would not be able to be used as an excuse as to why he was
Right.
fined and or suspended. But it sounds like again he's agreed not to fight it because he knows that he fucking did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
Which respect for
So
that for not for
yeah,
doing it,
or at
and that
least,
would have been a real
and at
like dick
least he
move.
told him ahead of time, so
Yeah. Like, hey, you're about to
he
take this
can
to the
somewhat
chin.
prepare.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you better be prepped for a hit. I mean, Felino is known for doing that too, where he'll be like, "Let's drop the gloves. Like we got to go for that hit you just did, or
yeah,
whatever." Middleton's kind of like that too. Sometimes he just skates up and punches dudes in the throat, though not really in the throat, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
Pokes him in the eye.
Um,
Captain Nathano, show no
yeah,
mercy.
Or I mean, you could be like Elvis Merzlikins, who should have gotten fined for spearing Tom Wilson
yeah.
in the
Oh god,
nutsack,
that spear was
which
Yeah.
it was
nasty.
blatant and there was no fine and no call.
Yeah.
So there's that.
There's
So
just
yeah, so
certain.
there are
Yeah.
there are
And
worse.
also, actually, I would like to pick a fight with the refs on that call as well, because then Merzlikins later hit him in the face with a blocker, which, according to NHL rules, should immediately
Really be.
have resulted in discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that goes back to our conversations earlier with the refs fucking up blatant calls, and the NHL's Department of Player Safety also should have recognized that a spear and a blocker hit to the face in the same game, you should have faced punishment
Oh,
for
he's a
that,
goalie. They're
Yeah.
not going to punish
Absolutely.
goalies.
which is so fucking unfair.
Yeah.
Punish
I agree.
goalies.
It
I
is.
mean, punish
I
goalies,
mean,
man.
what though? They punish? Didn't they? Or maybe they
They
didn't.
lost
Was
that
that the real?
game. So because of
Right.
Merzlikins' actions, particularly where he punched Tom Wilson in the head when he was in a prone position on the ice with his blocker, they did get a penalty in overtime, which resulted in Alex Ovechkin getting the game-winning overtime goal.
Right.
Great, hoorah, yay, yay, awesome. I still don't think that that is a total um,
Right. Make up
righting of
for.
wrongs. Yeah. Because I
Yeah.
do think that we should not, because to me, all this means is that now Jordan Binnington can go out and do the same shit and be like, well, Elvis got away with it.
Well,
Right.
Bennington's been doing this shit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well,
They
that's what
all
I was
should
gonna
get
say.
fucking in
Is
Yeah.
trouble.
maybe that was
They all should
yeah.
get in trouble.
Yeah.
You can't be out here hitting people with your fucking blocker, dude. Like, if you want to
Right.
drop gloves, drop gloves. But first of
Just,
all,
yeah.
Right.
wait for the guy to get out of the goal.
Also, I don't know if
Right.
Tom Wilson's the
And don't
one
be,
that the one person on the Capitals that I'm really like itching to fight.
Yeah. Don't pick a fight with him.
As
Yeah.
much as I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of him, I
He'll.
don't know if I want to
right.
fight him. That seems
No,
like
you're
a
not dumb enough
losing
to fight
battle.
him.
Yeah. It seems like
Yeah.
a real
Right.
losing battle.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
Well. Yeah. I totally agree. And we could talk about that for ages. So
Yeah.
in order to not,
Yeah.
let's
Moving
get
on.
on to some injuries. So for the Anaheim Ducks, we have Troy Terry, who got hurt on the 28th. He is listed as day-to-day with an upper body injury. He did, however, leave that game early
Yeah.
because of that injury.
It's a
We also have,
shoulder, I believe.
yeah, this all just says upper body, upper injury. I don't think that makes no sense.
Upper injury.
Like, well, and Chris and I saw on NHL.com, there's a player that said he was out with a medium body injury. And we were like, what is medium? But like the middle, his torso,
That's actually so
his
funny.
core.
Yeah.
Like, there's other better way, or is it like only of medium importance? Like, he has a abdominal contusion, and like, yeah, it just hurts.
Yeah.
What does that fucking mean, NHL? Anyway. We also have Leo Carlson, who was out as of the 20th. He is listed as IR with a sprained MCL. He also left that game early. For the Arizona Coyotes, on the 22nd, JJ Moser left the game early with an upper body injury. That's the only new one I should clarify.
But they have a lot of people out in general right now.
They do. The Bruins don't have anybody else out new. Still Forbort and Milian Lukic, who we'll see when he's back. Forbort. The Sabres have no injuries listed whatsoever. So, rock on, Buffalo, apparently.
Yeah.
Calgary Flames, no new injuries for them. For the Carolina Hurricanes, Jesper Fast left the game early with an upper body injury on the 29th. He is listed as day-to-day. Chicago's fluff and falling apart, boys
Yeah.
and girls. Tyler Johnson on the 30th. Undisclosed injuries, left the game early, listed as IR. Nikita Zaitsev, listed as day-to-day with an illness, syphilis, on the 28th. Taylor Radish, also on the 28th, left the game early with a lower body injury, listed as IR. And the rest of them we've talked about already. I think we talked about Joey Anderson last time. If not,
Yeah.
he's out with a shoulder. For Colorado Avalanche, why did I say it like that? That was very, like, had a bubble in my throat at the same time. For the Colorado Avalanche, I'm from Minnesota, damn it. Ross Colton left the game early with an undisclosed injury. He was listed as day-to-day. That happened on the 26th. No new ones for Colorado. Columbus Blue Jackets. Yeah, the Daniil Tarasov? Daniel?
Yeah.
Daniel.
Tarasov. Sorry. On the 31st, listed as day-to-day with an illness, syphilis. Elvis Merzlikins, speak of the devil, and he shall appear. On the 28th, left the game early with an illness. Hanging out.
That's definitely syphilis.
Yeah.
Definitely syphilis.
Likely.
That's why I was so angry. But he is listed as day-to-day. Zach Werenski on the 26th was listed as IR, left the game early with an ankle injury. Sean Curley, listed as IR, left the game early on the 22nd with an abdominal injury. And Nick Blankenberg, listed as IR with an upper body injury. For Dallas Stars, nobody knew. Still, Jake Ottinger, though, now is listed as day-to-day. I don't think he was listed as day-to-day before, so hopefully we'll see Ott come back soon. For Detroit, nothing new there. Edmonton, Sam Gagner, listed as day-to-day with an undisclosed injury. Florida's nobody new. Los Angeles Kings, nobody new. Minnesota Wild. Oh boy.
Just a
we're falling apart,
smorgasbord.
Yeah.
Smorgasbord. Yeah. Vinny Lettieri, listed as day-to-day with a lower body injury as of the 30th. Philip Gustafson on the 29th left the game with a lower body injury. It's listed as IR, suspected to be out 2 to 3 weeks, last I heard. Kirill Kaprizov, as of the 29th, that same game, left the game early with an upper body injury, listed as day-to-day. Like I said earlier, it does sound like he'll be out at least 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
On the good news front, Spurgeon was back.
Nice.
And Matt Zuccarello today practiced alone before, or skated alone before practice, which is a good thing. For Montreal, we have Christian Dvorak, as of the 30th, listed as day-to-day with an upper body injury. Nashville, we have Tyson Barrie, listed as day-to-day with an upper body injury. Kevin Lackinen, as of December 26th, listed as day-to-day with an illness. He was hanging out with those syphilis boys. For New Jersey Devils, so we have Timo Meier, listed as day-to-day, left the game early with an undisclosed injury on the 29th. Curtis Lazar, day-to-day as well, with a lower body injury. For New York Islanders, nobody new. For the Rangers, nobody new. Ottawa has nobody new. Philly has nobody new. Pittsburgh has nobody new. For
That's
San
great
Jose,
that
we
there's
have,
so many that are
right?
not new.
I know.
Right?
It's good news for everyone.
Yeah.
Right? Mario Ferrero on the 30th left the game with an upper body injury. It's listed as day-to-day. Jacob McDonald on the 26th was listed on IR with an undisclosed injury. Giovanni Smith left the game early with an undisclosed injury on the 20th, is now listed as IR. The Kraken don't have anybody new. St. Louis Blues have nobody new. Tampa Bay Lightning. Hayden Fleury Interesting. I wonder if he's related to Marc Andre, like a nephew or something.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Distant cousin.
you just don't see Flurry very often. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks very young, so he could be like a nephew or a cousin or
I don't know if they're related.
he's,
I
yeah.
don't know.
He looks like Flurry. To be fair, I could see a family resemblance a little bit with Flurry.
To the internet.
Yeah, somebody else work on that.
Yep.
On it.
Thank you so much. The internet needs to know. No, my brain needs to know. So Hayden left the game early with undisclosed injury on the 30th. He is listed as day-to-day. Eric Cermak left the game early with an undisclosed injury on the 30th. He is listed as day-to-day. Connor Sherry left the game with a hand injury, is listed day-to-day, and that was the 29th. For Toronto, they also have nobody new. Vancouver Canucks have nobody new. This is just insane, guys.
Yeah.
Las Vegas Golden Knights' Ben Hutton on the 27th left the game early with an upper body injury. He's listed as day-to-day. For the Washington Capitals, much like the Wild, they are kind of falling apart a little bit too.
Little bit.
But nobody, like,
Yeah.
just two new guys, so it's not horrible, but still. Charlie Lindgren on the 28th left the game with an upper body injury. Martin.
Actually, Marty was back today. I'm surprised he's
he?
almost
Okay.
close. Yeah, Marty got a goal
Yeah,
tonight.
because I did refresh
It was a Marty party.
before we started too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Marty party.
Yeah.
Marty party. So we won't talk about Marty then. Welcome back, Marty.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see TJ back soon as
Oh
well.
God, I wish.
And then for Winnipeg, David Gustafson is on IR with a lower body injury.
Oh, wow.
And that is it, guys. I think that might be one of the fastest injury.
No, I think the only one faster
we've
was the
ever
Cup
had.
finals.
Yeah, right.
That's very. Oh, that's very. Well, the only like regular season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say.
To circle back, Hayden Fleury has no relation to Marc-Andre Fleury, but does have a younger brother, Cale, who plays for the Canadians.
They
Oh.
do look like they could be related.
They
though.
Yeah.
do look like that.
Like, there's a
it just
side by
might not
side.
be-
Yeah.
They just might not be publicly related.
So I know
Right.
that Hayden and Cale are from Saskatchewan,
Yeah.
to where Marc-Andre is from
Montreal.
Is he
Quebec,
from
yeah.
is he from Montreal directly?
From Montreal, I
I
believe.
saw Sorrel Tracy is what I see in.
Oh,
this
yeah,
item here.
yeah, that's right. But Montreal was like the next.
It might be like
big
Sorrel
It's
Tracy
a-
is like
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe it's a suburb.
Yeah. But just because one is
but-
in Saskatchewan and one is in
Yeah.
Quebec doesn't mean
As
that
as
they're
far
not-
as
I
far
mean,
as
it
I
could be
saw,
a
they
second
have
or third cousin too.
As
Yeah.
far as I saw,
You
they
know?
have no relation, but
Yeah.
it could be.
So
you
it's
know.
not a direct. But yeah, if
You
you,
know
look
what?
at Fleury and then you look at Hayden, I almost said because he looks pretty faded in this picture. I'm not gonna lie.
Fate is a motherfucker.
Right? No, like you definitely can see some resemblance there, especially in the smile.
I'm gonna challenge Hayden and
know.
Marc-Andre to come on the show and do a 23andMe, and we'll get to the bottom of this. real quick.
Please.
We can do this shit Maury Povich style.
Right.
I will tell you right now,
You
Not the
are
Fleury.
the
not
game
the
I'm
Fleury.
going to in March, I will bring a sign since I no longer get to bring the sign that I was gonna bring about teaching D what real hockey is like. I will bring a sign that, answers
Yeah.
or asks Flurry to come on to Pucked Up Podcast.
That would be epic
There
as
you go.
fuck.
I won't
know,
tell
I'm
him
so bummed.
why. If you
Yeah.
want to know, I probably won't remember. Y'all have to help me out.
Could you
He'll
fucking
be like,
imagine?
"Why do you want me to
Yeah.
come on?" And I'll be like,
That's a
Excellent
stupid question.
Just spit in this cup and come on our show, please. And don't ask any more questions.
"Yeah,
Imagine,
give me a vial of your DNA."
dude.
Like,
Imagine
that's
if we
so
got
gross. A
Flurry.
vial of spit.
Right?
That would
be
be phenomenal. And I
crazy.
feel like if he had time, he
Oh, he would probably do
but-
it because it sounds like some stupid shit he'd be down for.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we say some real stupid shit on the show, so I think
We do.
Yeah, we
we
did.
do.
that lines up.
Even let's be honest, if I could even just get Flurry to listen to the podcast,
That's
my
a
life would be
win.
made.
That's a
Yeah.
fucking
My
win.
life would be
Dub.
made. Because I adore him. more than ever now that he plays for the Wild.
Oh,
to be
Yeah.
honest.
he's a big deal in my household.
Yeah. And like he's always been one of those guys of like really enjoyed watching him play, but I hated when we played him.
Yeah.
Hated it, you know?
Yeah.
But he's a fun goalie to watch, and I love good, like fun goalies, people that make it
Yeah.
interesting. So, anywho, Chris,
Yes.
who is our obscure player of the week?
So this one goes back pretty far. Like
All right.
the inception of the NHL far. Our
Well, damn.
obscure NHL player of the week is a gentleman by the name of Harry Hyland. He was born January 2nd, 1889. He played his playing career in itself was from 1908 to 1918, where he was the first player to score a hat trick in an NHL game, which ironically was the
Wow.
first ever game in the NHL, which is wild. He also is said to have scored 8 goals in one game against the Quebec Bulldogs in 1912. He scored the first hat trick in the NHL history, playing in the league's very first game in December 19th, 1917, which the Montreal Wanderers defeated the Toronto Arenas 10-9. He also looks like he played some lacrosse.
Oh.
He was a member of the Vancouver Lacrosse Club in 1911. His NHL stats are very short, considering he played for the now defunct NHA, the National Hockey Association, which is the direct predecessor of the National Hockey League. In his 117 games in the NHA, he had 144 goals, 20 assists, and 261 penalty minutes.
Woo! Bad boy. Bad boy.
Jesus.
Yeah. He played 17 games in the NHL for the Montreal Wanderers and the original Ottawa Senators. 14 goals, 2 assists, and 65 penalty minutes. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1962. And passed away in 1969 at the ripe old age of 80. I thought this was a cool one to include because this goes deep
Yeah.
into the NHL's roots.
Right.
Also, who doesn't want to be known as the guy who scored the first hat trick in NHL history?
That's amazing.
Also, fun fact: the team that he beat in that game still exists.
Wow.
The Toronto Arenas in 1919, they were rebranded as the Toronto St. Patrick's until 1927, to when they became the Toronto Maple Leafs. And that franchise still exists.
Their first name was the Arenas,
Yep.
though?
Mhm.
Yeah.
1917 to 1919.
logo
The mascot was
just
just a building.
It was a giant T.
Yeah, an arena.
Nope, it was a big blue T.
That's somehow worse.
And then the St. Patrick's
Makes
had
no
the
fucking
Toronto
sense.
St. Pats, and now obviously the
Right,
iconic
St. Patrick's
Right.
make
Maple
more
Leaf
sense.
that we know and love with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But yeah, I thought that was cool that team was a thing. The Montreal Wanderers no longer exist. They folded after the 1918 season in the NHL, making way for
Bring
the
back
now
the
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Wanderers. Let's not have the
Dude,
Canadians from
I would-
Montreal. Montreal Wanderers sound so much cooler.
I would love to do just an episode on defunct NHL teams.
Yeah.
Like, because
Or,
there are
like, we
so
could do that
many.
as a one-off
Yeah.
thing.
We've got 100 years plus of NHL just teams.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you want to see that and us saying which ones should come back. And which ones can
I
stay
already
dead.
have my vote of which one I want to come back.
Well, let us know in the comments below. Por favor.
and let me know why you agree with me that it should be the Whalers.
I was just gonna say yours is the
I knew you were
Hartford
gonna say
It
the
Whalers.
has to be the
Whalers, yeah.
Whalers. Keep the dream alive. It'll never end.
And in other news,
That's the end of our podcast.
Yeah. That's it. That we got.
Well, that madness brings us to the end of our show for this week.
That's
First show of the year, which always feels like such an accomplishment and not an accomplishment at all.
We just did what we were supposed to do for a
Yeah,
day.
right.
We actually recorded for once in 3 weeks. No, we all did enjoy spending time with our friends and family over the holiday break,
Mhm.
which was much needed, I think.
Yeah.
But we love spending time with all of you as well.
Absolutely.
We hope that you enjoy it too.
Yeah.
If not, why
Cry
are
to
you
your mom.
listening? But if you are still here, please hit that follow, like button, subscribe, whatever it is on whatever platform you are listening or watching us on.
Our asses are everywhere.
Mhm.
You can't get. We are like syphilis. You can't get away from
We're
us.
like
when
the
we're
fucking
spreading.
Terminator, dude. Like,
Right.
But no, we definitely appreciate all of you that take the time out of your days to listen to our madness. But we love doing it for you. So
Yeah.
again, hit follow, like, just like whatever. Send us an email. If you have pointers, just don't vote any of us off the show because that's not gonna work.
here's a fun one
Um,
for people who are listening. If you're listening, comment your favorite color in the comments. If you
I
guys are
think we
still
did
here.
color last
I
week.
think we did that color, last
Did
time.
we?
Yeah, we did.
What's your favorite
No,
food?
I got one. No, what's your favorite Christmas or holiday time treat?
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
You know, something that you only get during holiday.
I just like hearing when people say their favorite colors. I don't know. I like colors.
Just every week.
Yeah, but
What's
we
your
don't
favorite
need to.
color?
What's your favorite color?
What's your favorite color?
Like fucking Buddy
Rogue
the
is
Elf
your
over here.
potato.
We're only gonna respond to comments on our page now with "What's your favorite color?"
All right, so the world is your potato might be the greatest thing ever said on LTN Media.
That's
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
good.
that's our sign
That's
off.
a double D power hour.
Which
Yeah.
I miss you girls on Tuesday nights.
I know.
Yes, hopefully we will be back next week.
Yeah.
Me not having meds was not helpful this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you again. We love you guys. And we will see you, Mother Perkers, next week in the Face Off Circle.